We're doing a lot to try to speed up the pathway for innovative technologies. Innovation is part of our lifeblood. It comes straight from our mission. Our mission is to protect public health and promote public health. We protect public health by assuring that devices are safe and effective, but we promote public health by facilitating innovation and speeding patient access to safe and effective devices. Even our vision goes to this, which is that patients in the U.S. have access to high-quality, safe and effective medical devices of public health importance, first in the world. But here's the challenge we face, and this goes behind some of the things that we're doing. So here's the dilemma. We have a fantastic standard for protecting public health. It's reasonable assurance of safety and effectiveness. It's one of the highest standards in the world. But at the same token, because it's so high, it requires a lot more evidence to meet it, and therefore more challenging for innovators to get on the market in the U.S. So what we're trying to do is reduce the time and cost of the total product lifecycle of device review, assessment, development, post-market surveillance, manufacturing, even the pathway from FDA approval to payer coverage, because you don't have real access unless you have adequate reimbursement, particularly for more expensive devices. So let me just highlight a few things we've been doing. Everyone focuses on pre-market review. We think this is very important, and we notice that over about 10 years, our pre-market review performance actually was getting worse. So we did a deep dive, and we started to make changes in our policies, our practices, and even more recently, we got additional funding through reauthorization of the user fee program. And as a result, we've cut our backlog of 510Ks and PMAs by about 50%. Our average total time for review for 510Ks is down about 13%. For PMAs, it's down by 32%. And even our approval and clearance rates are back up. They've gone up from around 70% now to 85%. So everything is pointing in the right direction, and they're getting better. But you know what? We have to do more than simply reduce time by days or weeks or even months. We have to reduce time by years. So what are we doing? Well, let me highlight two things that we're focusing on, because this is real bang for the buck if we can solve it. One is strengthen the clinical trial enterprise, and two, strike the right balance between pre-market and post-market data collection. Far and away, the most costly part about bringing a product to market, particularly more innovative devices and higher risk devices, is the cost of doing clinical trials in the U.S. Now, some of it's not due to the FDA. All that time and cost and going through multiple local institutional review boards and all the contracting with different clinical trial sites isn't FDA, but it does go to the cost. There is an FDA piece, though, and we're working hard to change that and even influence the things that aren't directly under our control. So we've been changing our program, and already we've cut the median time to full approval of a clinical trial by a little over 60%. And we're trying to make it easier to start early feasibility studies here in the U.S. because we think it's so important that we have those studies conducted here and conducted here first. For striking the right balance, we've been focusing on those circumstances where we can shift data collection from the pre-market to the post-market setting. I'm very excited that just a few months ago, we proposed a new pathway called Expedited Access PMA. It's for high-risk devices that are intended to treat or diagnose a serious condition, and they address an unmet medical need. And here's a case where you can think about, because the potential public health benefit is so great, we should accept much greater uncertainty about the benefits and risks of that device. And so under this proposed program, we do two big things. One, we work very collaboratively with the innovator, trying to figure out what's the best roadmap to getting to market. And we include senior management in the center, including myself, early on and all along the way. The second piece is shifting pre-market data we would otherwise collect to the post-market setting. For example, relying on a surrogate marker that's reasonably likely to predict benefit, but it's not yet been confirmed, and you conduct the confirmatory study post-market. Or what we call a stage study, where you may do really a small clinical study early on, few patients, short period of time, and then you broaden that study in the post-market setting. So we think that this can be a major change in how we approach technology. And one last item related here is we're looking at ways in which we can have better infrastructure in the U.S. to get that post-market data. So imagine if we could get information quickly, robustly, in a way that we can then leverage it to reduce the burdens on the pre-market side of the house. If we were better able to use electronic health information, if we had good medical device registries out there. And that's why in 2012 we put out a strategy for creating what we call a national medical device post-market surveillance system explicitly for that purpose. And now we have a multi-stakeholder planning board that's helping us work through the steps for creating that kind of an infrastructure. If we had it in place, you could see a major shift in how we approach technologies today, relying much more on post-market setting. And we think this would really free up innovators to bring exciting technologies here to the U.S. and what we hope bring it to the U.S. first.